Hey everyone,
Hi,
Mark and
everybody.
Jen. Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Mary. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Oh man, good to see everyone in here, and I see there's some new names. So great to see you. Hey,
Good audience tonight. We've got a great, great, great show for you.
I know we do.
Jen is going to
Maybe
be wonderful.
absolutely. Yeah, we've. I was watching the intro there, and thinking, doggone it, I went to a whole lot of work earlier this week. For a couple hours, I made an entirely new intro and forgot to put it on here. Next week,
I
guys.
noticed that. I noticed that.
Next week.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
But guys, we usually save some of the uh, announcements like the future guests and so on for the end of the show, and we'll keep doing that. But before the show starts and we get into everything, I would like to ask everyone that if you have a prayer request, please, uh, you can put right here in the comments just prayer request. Keep it simple. You don't have to go into detail. We don't have to know exactly what's going on. Just prayer request. And I've got a great big tablet here with about 20, 30 names at least. I have no idea how many's on here. But yeah, this is a daily list that I go over, and I add to it just about every day anyway. And I just, you know, so just let me know if you're in need of prayer or you know of someone who is in need of prayer. Just you can even message either myself or Mark, and we'll put it on the list. And there's a heck of a lot of prayer warriors right here on the chat. So,
So I had
yeah,
one put on about surgery a while back for a friend, and
yes,
I'll say the surgery went very well, but we can continue to pray for healing for that person.
absolutely. And Lori, yeah, Judy Wheeler is definitely she's on the list. She's been on the list, and we'll continue to keep her on. Um, well, Mark, right now I really can't think of anything else. Anything going on? I'm not going to go over my calendar as to any conferences or festivals that I'll be speaking at because I think I've canceled most of them for the summer, and but the one in November I will keep because it's a local one. But oh yeah, Mickey definitely yes. Jeremiah Barron, yes, he needs many prayers. Okay. Um, all right. So, Mark, anything that you need to announce or go over?
Let me think. So the only thing I know of that's coming up, and it's I think a week, not this coming weekend, but the one after. And I don't think I'm going, but I might decide at the last minute to go up there. But I'm only 45 minutes away. But the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference in Gatlinburg
Yes,
is coming up, I think, the weekend of the 25th, if I'm not mistaken.
That is a really good event. I spoke there quite a few years ago.
yeah, I
Really
bet
fun.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I've been
been,
to it. My issues with it are parking and the cost of going is really, it's not a cheap thing to do. So,
yeah,
but it
yeah,
is good. It's good, a good event.
I think the tickets are reasonable. It's just everything else that cost
Yeah,
there.
it's like
yeah.
20 bucks to park, and
Yeah.
food's
Yeah.
high, and
But
Wow.
the tickets are pretty reasonable though, aren't they, to get in?
um, I want to say they start at maybe 30 or 40 and go
Well,
up from
that's
there.
really not bad considering what it
No,
is.
not yeah. But then if you go there, and I know the vendors have to make money, but the vendors all have to pay for their they pay a lot, so they have to charge a lot. So, everything, t-shirts. I buy t-shirts from Mary because she's cheap.
There you go, Mary. Just how every woman wants to be related to, cheap, right?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, Mickey, it's the 25th of this month. He asked if it was this month. So.
Okay, yes.
In Gatlinburg at the convention.
Okay, Gatlinburg. Yeah, no wonder. Things are pricey there anyways, I think, aren't they? Yeah, and parking is a premium. I know there's a YouTube channel based in Gatlinburg. It's Everything Auto. It's a towing service.
Oh.
And they show all the cars being towed that didn't pay for parking or parking in the wrong spot.
Yeah, Mickey, you need to get with Mary here for t-shirts. He says his t-shirt collection is hungry.
Hey,
so he wants t-shirts.
Definitely. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of the old Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project logo t-shirts left over, and I'm making a batch of the new Bigfoot Project, and I can even do the Monkey Wench t-shirts if anyone's interested. So
you do any shirts or anything, Jen?
We do, but not online. Like if we're at a convention or a conference, we do usually have t-shirts there to some degree.
Yeah.
Our t-shirt, we don't have a lot right now. We got to get some more because we start doing conferences in a month.
Yeah.
So we need to get on that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, we're filming right now. So
okay.
You're filming with Greg Ogles?
No, I did film with Greg a few months ago on a project. But right now my crew is filming a new series called World of Monsters.
Oh, okay.
And it's an 8-episode series. So this will be season 1. So right now everyone else is on location. I'm the eyes in the sky. So I'll be remote viewing all the locations and being on camera there. But they are overseas.
Oh, cool. Now, is this network? Going to be on YouTube or a network or what?
It will not be on YouTube. The network is undetermined right now. We are working with some producers who will put it where it goes. But yeah,
keep us up to date on that. We'll all want to watch you on there.
We sure will. My partner in crime, Jena, the other She-Squatcher, she's over there with them right now. And
there's
Jason
Pyro.
Yeah. Yep, Pyro says, hope to see Jen in Zenobia in October.
I will be there.
Good. And Lori, if just send me a message, I'll send you information on that. Just send me a message if you're on Facebook or Messenger.
Or email.
Yeah, email. Here, let me type it here in the comments. So if anyone wants to order one.
And Jen, you don't do them by email. You only do them when you're in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
And right now I'm bringing back an old design and revamping it into a new design. So, so we're going to we'll have a little bit of our old stock and then some of the new. And when
you do remote viewing, yes?
Yes, I do.
Did you remote view our show tonight to see how it was going to go?
Oh, I don't do it like that, actually. That's not literally remote viewing. Remote viewing is looking at a location from remotely. But what you're thinking is a precognitive information.
I want you to remote view the location where they picked the lottery numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Ahead of time.
I did something like that once before when I was younger and I was still living in the psychic closet. I was visiting my father, who was very not into anything like that. not open to anything like that, is still not open to anything like that. I went out to visit him on the East Coast, and he took me to my very first horse race. And I asked, he wanted to do some horse betting. And I said, what is the best winning thing that you could do? And he said, that would be a trifecta. Yeah. And I said, what is that? He said, well, you have to choose the first 3 horses in order, 1, 2, 3, that they come in order. And I said, okay. And I could win a lot. He said, yeah, and you can just put $2 down and you could actually win quite a bit if you get it right. He goes, but you'll never get it. And I go, hang on a second. And I said, show me first, where would I see those winners when they win? And he said, right up there on the board. And so I looked at the board. I said, show me the board at the end of the next race. And I saw it. Cool. And so then I was like, it's going to be this one, this one, this one. And so I was on my way to do my $2 bet. He's like, you're wasting your money. I'm like, whatever, Dad, it's $2. What do you care? And so I did my $2, and he's just, and all of a sudden the race is on, and they're coming in, and he's screaming his head off because my horses are in order. And he's just freaking out. And I'm just like, because I told him, you obviously don't even know who I am, and right. So then it comes the end of the race, the board says just what it said when I saw it, but then they had a photo finish, so it actually changed. The board was I saw the right board, it just wasn't the right winners.
Oh no.
But
oh wow.
It was my dad's first experience with me as an adult sharing.
But he still doesn't believe you.
It's not that he doesn't believe me. It's that there are people in the world that are scared of things like that.
Oh yeah.
And
there are.
I think that he's worried about what other people will think.
Yeah.
Because when I came out of the psychic closet, I was truly the weird one. I mean, my siblings are nurses and doctors. Yeah. And I'm the psychic that looks for Bigfoot. Yeah. I mean, I am literally the black sheep.
And 50 or 60 years ago, there were a lot more people afraid of it than there are now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I mean, I mean, even though I'm on TV, I don't even know if they watch. They don't even talk to me because I'm such a weirdo.
Yeah.
So.
Well, see, we haven't really done her intro yet properly. So, did you have more intro, Mary?
Well, Lori, I don't have it in front of me, so please, would you just give us a brief? I'm sorry. Yeah, Jen. Give us a brief intro to yourself, and sorry, I was reading on the chat about Lori.
Yeah, I figured.
Oops.
Well, I'm Jen Kruse. I am a team leader and founder of the She-Squatchers, which is the first all-female Bigfoot and cryptid research team out of the Midwest. And I was born a psychic and didn't know what that was. I had to learn firsthand, that I was experiencing things that other people didn't understand, because it very quickly scared my parents and my family when I would say or do things that were psychic in nature. So I quickly learned as a child to hide it because it scared my family. And so I had a life of hiding that part of myself until I was in my 30s. And then I learned, I was a massage therapist. I learned to do Reiki, which is a Japanese form of energy healing. And when I did that, there's you kind of have to open your awareness to be guided by that energy, right? To feel and sense the energy. And when I did that, I kind of blew the door wide open to my psychic abilities. And it gave that an avenue. Even though I had been trying to resist it my whole life, things would still happen and things would still come through. I would still do things against my will, like saving people from a car accident. My body would just pull them out of the car and you're not going. And I didn't know why that I was doing that, or I would say things that I didn't know before they came out of my mouth, and I feel very strongly that the creator, whatever name you want to call the creator, that source of that higher power, that works through people who have, who are open to that. And so I think those times were just obviously that, where I was being used as a conduit to help somebody else. And, so those were the times that I couldn't control it. And people would notice that was very unusual, Jen, what happened there. And when I learned Reiki, I felt a calling to my reservation. And I'm part Native American. I'm very light skinned, I know, but I grew up affiliated with the tribe. My mom raised me very naturally, but she didn't know she was teaching me Native things. They was never told to her this was Native and this is white. It was just the way that they lived. So she didn't even know that she was teaching me Native things either. And so when I felt called back to the tribe, I literally heard wolves howling everywhere they weren't. And it brought me back to the tribe. And the spiritual advisor, the spiritual leader of our tribe, he was the leader of the Medewin of our tribe, which the Grand Medicine Society. He had sent out a call, and his name was Gichimaingen Bajan Nagishik, which means the great wolf with a stillness within. And he had sent out a call that I was hearing as wolves howling, and he was literally calling me back to the tribe. And I found him, and he became my native elder, who coached me through my massive spiritual awakening, which happened at that time. And literally, it was like opening the floodgates of information that just was overwhelming every bit of my senses. And it was just a very amazing experience. And I'm so thankful that I had him, because I don't think I would have made it without his guidance. And, because it really was an overwhelming experience that went on for quite some time. And so when I went through that, I realized I had a knack for interacting with ghosts and people who were deceased but had not crossed over into the light were drawn to me. And so I was interacting with what we would call lost spirits, and they would come to me for help. And then I just would find myself in different situations where I was helping paranormal situations, haunted houses. I ended up being one of the people that would go into the haunted houses that other psychics were scared to go to. I was the one who would go in and take care of it.
Okay.
So I was doing all that. And then I had a paranormal radio show. And so I was doing that for quite some time, in addition to all of that. And then I ended up at a paranormal convention in my state of Minnesota. And Lauren Coleman, the cryptozoologist who has the International Cryptozoology Museum in the state of Maine, he was there as a speaker. And I was like, hey, this might be a great interview for my show. I didn't know hardly anything about Bigfoot at all. I think I'd maybe watched 5 episodes of Finding Bigfoot on TV. This was back in 2015. And so I asked if he would be interested in interviewing my show, and he said yeah. So we sat down together in person for an hour, and he told me all about Bigfoot. And he was trying to convince me that there were Bigfoot in my home state of Minnesota. I had grown up in the woods, gathering and foraging foods with my mother. We were very poor. And I'm like, I was always in the woods. I didn't see any Bigfoot there. And what kind of, I didn't really believe in Bigfoot. I had never thought about Bigfoot before that. I just never even considered it as an option. It just never crossed my mind. So he was saying, yes, for sure, they were there. And he was trying to convince me to get some women together to go out into the woods and look for Bigfoot, because he thought that women without men, dogs, or guns would be the recipe for success for getting closer and interacting with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And so he was trying to convince me of that. And by the end of the interview, I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll get some ladies together. We'll give this a try. I'll try anything, right? One time at least. So I did. I grabbed some ladies from the paranormal convention who were there. They were paranormal investigators. They had the night vision cameras for their paranormal investigating haunted houses. And I figured that, yes, we needed night vision cameras to be seeing at night. And it wasn't until we were actually in the woods at night that we realized that these cameras that they use for haunted houses don't actually light up the woods at night. So we were virtually blind out there. But because in addition to Lauren Coleman's idea of sending women into the woods, I was like, well, I'm psychic. I can remote view. I have all these other senses. I can feel energy on a physical level. I can ask to feel the energy of Bigfoot when it's there. And so I think that we could use this to our advantage, right? And so I added that to the mix. And when we were driving around during the day looking at locations, I asked to feel the energy of Bigfoot. And I felt this weird buzzing in this spot. So we pulled over and just started looking around. We didn't see anything that would lead us to believe that Bigfoot was there, but I dropped a GPS coordinate on it and we decided to come back there after dark. And that's where we had an encounter.
Cool.
And so it was our very first try, and we have Bigfoot throwing rocks at us, and we have something surrounding us. And, you know, all this stuff was going on. And one of the girls had borrowed a thermal camera from somebody, and she didn't even know how to use it. It was I had never held a thermal camera before, but she handed it to me. I was excited to hold it. And I was hoping to see something that had a body temperature on it. So I'm scanning, you know, and I actually did see someone standing out in front of the car on the tree line. And it was so dark, you know, I couldn't see anything with my eyes, but I saw somebody standing there. And I said, well, who's out in front of the car? And none of the ladies that were with me were answering. I'm like, hey, who's out there? Who's out in front of the car? And nobody is saying anything. And I kept saying that, more anxiety in my voice. And one of the ladies runs up to where I was standing, and she looks at the screen and she sees what I'm seeing, which looks like the heat signature of a person standing there right outside the tree line. And she looks at it without the screen, and she gasped and she said, I just saw red eyes. And I said, you did? So I dropped the camera to look at it with my naked eye. And then it had stepped into the woods. I couldn't see anything. She couldn't see it anymore either. So I tried to find it, and I couldn't find it again with the heat signature. So then we just walked over there and decided to walk into the forest there. And again, I didn't know anything about Bigfoot at that point. I really didn't. And we got just a little ways into the forest when we heard this noise. And it was the sound of something coming through the branches. And then something dropped on the ground like 3 feet in front of me, and it bounced. And I'm like, is that a rock? And Marla was like, yeah, I think that's a rock. And then we hear another one coming through the branches, and it bounces right next to the other one. And a few rocks came that way. And I was just totally oblivious. I didn't know that Bigfoot threw rocks at people. All I knew is I'm in Minnesota. Nothing has ever thrown rocks at me in the forest before. We're in the middle of nowhere in the dark. Nobody knows we're out here. Like, who is throwing rocks at us? And I didn't even know Bigfoot did that. So I was like, what's happening? And so I just opened my awareness and I asked, what is this about? And I got very clearly, don't come this way. So I said, let's back up to the road. So we went back to the road. And when I say road, that's being very generous, because it was actually named Reservation Highway 20, and it is a gravel road wide enough for one car.
Yeah.
One car only. So that was it was more like a minimum maintenance road.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So,
yes.
But it was a logging road, really, that the loggers would use for logging. And so we went back to the road, and we didn't know what to do at that point. So one of the girls was like, hey, let's do one of those Bigfoot calls like they do on TV. And I'm like, all right, go ahead, do it. And so she lets out a big whoop, And we all waited to hear a whoop back, right? And we didn't get a whoop back, but instead, on the other side of the road, from where we had the rocks coming from, we heard something start walking towards us. And it was big, and it was cracking large sticks, and you could hear it was 2 big feet coming. And we all pointed our cameras at it. And that's when we realized that the cameras don't light up the woods. So we can't see what's coming. And then it was like something snapped its fingers, and that sound of that thing coming towards us multiplied. And now something like that is coming at us from different directions all at the same time. And so we circled up back to back facing out. And, I kind of recognized that we did that automatically without a plan. I was like, well, that's pretty smart that we did that. But, all of us were like, can you see anything? Can you see anything? And none of it, we're all like, I can't see anything. And, they were pretty scared, and it was overwhelming my senses to feel their fear. And I'm like, stop being scared. I can't feel anything. And then one of the girls yelled, Jen, do your tobacco thing. And what she meant was we were on a Native American reservation, an Ojibwe reservation, and I'm Ojibwe, but this was the reservation next to the one where I come from. And so what she meant was give a prayer, give a tobacco offering. So I took some tobacco out of my pocket, and I held it in my left hand, and I started speaking out loud in Ojibwe. I did a very formal protocol greeting. I introduced myself in Ojibwe, and then I started to give thanks to the Great Spirit. I gave thanks to, I said, Miigwech me, which is thank you to the nature spirits. And then I said, Miigwech kichisabe, which is thank you to Bigfoot. And as soon as I said thank you to Bigfoot, everything stopped. All the movement towards us stopped. It just went silent. There was not retreat. There was just nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Because before we had gone there, I had gone to the elders from different reservations from around the area. And I'd gone to the elders asking for information about Bigfoot. And one of the elders had told me that you could pray through the Great Spirit, which, the Christians would call the Holy Spirit. You can pray through the Great Spirit to connect with Bigfoot and ask him to help you, and he will help you and protect you. And, you can ask for him for help. And so when I thanked Bigfoot in my very formal protocol greeting and prayer, and everything stopped, I took that as a confirmation of what the elders had told me about that. And so I was excited. I was like, yeah. The other girls had no idea what I had just said because I was speaking in Ojibwe. They had no idea why I was excited. They were just scared, and they were like, let's get out of here. And so we jumped in the car and we drove away. And they were saying things like, I don't think I really want to see Bigfoot. This is scarier than haunted houses. This is scarier than a crucifix flying off the wall at us in a haunted house. Maybe Bigfoot could come and cross the road in front of the car and we could take his picture. That would be okay. But that's, I don't know that I really want to do this. This is scarier than I thought. And so the next day, it's daylight. We're having breakfast down the road from there, like 10 minutes. And I'm like, we need to go back there and look for footprints. We clearly heard things walking towards us, not that far into the forest. We need to go look for footprints. And they didn't want to go. Most of them, some of them did, not all of them wanted. And they were scared. And I had met them there because they were coming from Minneapolis area and I don't live near there. So we had met there. I was the only one there that was in my own car. The others had all ridden with one person. And so I kind of bullied them and I said, listen, you can't be a Bigfoot researcher, because remember, this is our first time. You can't call yourself a Bigfoot researcher if you're not going to go look for the footprints. Right? Yeah. And so I kind of bullied them into going there. They come out there, they get out of the car. The one who's driving the car, she's got flip-flops on. And I'm like, you need to put some socks and shoes on. You're going to get poison ivy. She's like, no, I'm not going in the woods. And she did a Facebook Live from the road. And then she says, come on, we're leaving. And I'm like, no. And
Wow.
I had made a rule that nobody would go into the woods alone, right?
Yep.
That was the rule I made. And then they drove away. And I was like, well, this is dumb. It's right there. And I'm standing there by myself going, I'm going to go check it out. Breaking the rules, right?
Yep, breaking your own rules.
I made the rule. I can break the rule. Anyway, so I was walking. And so when I do a remote view, which is a psychic thing, you know, I do a little bit different than what other people are doing. Other people do what's called controlled remote viewing. And, you know, that's kind of what the government had developed when they were working with psychics. It requires a third person really to do that. What I do is I look at satellite imagery and I zoom in and I start asking questions. And what I see on the image changes in response to the question that I ask.
Mm-hmm.
So I've used it to locate missing people. I've found dead bodies. I've used it to look at paranormal haunted locations and I say, what's happening here? Why is this happening here? Connect me to the spirits that are there. I'll have conversations with, but when Bigfoot research, I look at places and I say, is there any Bigfoot here? Or is there any Bigfoot evidence here that we can find? And what I see then on the image either shows me the Bigfoot that's there, what their demeanor is by showing me their facial expressions and the feeling. But sometimes I'll just see this whole area light up in a golden light. And that shit just tells me there is evidence here for you to collect. And it shows me the location of where that is by showing me this light.
Well, then that light, does that mean that what's there is benevolent also? Peaceful?
Not necessarily that.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just giving me there's something here that there's evidence here. Because that comes in reaction to me asking, is there Bigfoot evidence here we can find or collect? Okay. And so when I was there alone and I'm now walking into the forest to the place where we first heard the footsteps coming the night before, I start seeing the path lighting up as this golden light. But I don't normally see it that way. I see it on a picture of satellite imagery, but now I'm seeing it with my eyes and on the path. I'm seeing the path. It's lit up, golden light. There's an X made with sticks in the ground like this. And the golden light goes right under the X and through and beyond. I can see where it goes. And I'm walking on the path and I'm hearing this voice. And I don't know if it's outside of me or inside of my head. I can't tell. I'm hearing a voice and it's calling my name to come this way. And I'm not thinking anything of it. And which is weird. Okay, that's weird in itself. And sometimes, you know, how I receive psychic information it varies from time to time. Sometimes how I receive it comes as a memory that screams in my head. And all of a sudden I had this memory that screamed in my head so loud that it startled me. And it was my friend who yelled at me she said, don't ever step into a fairy ring. They could take you and never bring you back. And I heard that scream in my head and it startled me and I stopped. And I was like, what? And then I'm still hearing Jennifer. Now my friends call me Jen. This is calling me Jennifer. Oh. And I'm just like, who's calling to me? And why didn't I think that was weird a minute ago? You know, why wasn't I wondering that before? And then I realized I'm in a trance-like state and I didn't even realize I was in a trance-like state. And that kind of scared me. Like, I'm not in control right now. I'm not in control of me. And so that scared me. So I turned around and hightailed it back to my car. Yeah,
you were in a dangerous situation there.
Yeah. And so once I got in my car, I was like, okay, I feel safe now. So I'm still feeling curious. So I pull up to where I can see the trail of where I was walking. And so now I park my vehicle and I rolled on and I'm feeling safe. So I rolled down the window. I start taking pictures. Now, back then, you remember, I was doing paranormal stuff. But this was my first time into the Bigfoot world. So in the paranormal world at that time, if you're going to take pictures, you want to take a lot of pictures from the same exact angle, because if something changes, you have other pictures to show it wasn't in these other ones, right?
Right.
So I was in the habit of taking picture, like fast, right? And so I did that from my window, my open window, click, 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 of the path that I'm seeing. I'm still seeing the golden light. And so I took all these pictures. I didn't even stop to look at them. And I felt like I need to get out of here. You know, I'm not really sure what's happening. I just need to go. So I drove away. And later when I looked at those pictures, I saw in the woods behind where that path was going, where I was walking into, the trees had these giant circles within circles within circles within circles, right where that path was going. I was walking into these circles, and not circles on the ground, circles in the trees like this. And they were in several pictures in a row like that.
You think that was some sort of portal, or?
I am absolutely positive that that's what that was.
Okay. And
I was walking straight into it.
Yeah.
And what would have happened had I gone in there? I wanted to know. So I found somebody who would go with me. I'd go back there, who would be willing to hold my hand and walk into a portal.
Oh.
I don't mind walking into one as long as I'm not going in alone. So if we can't get back, at least I'm not alone, right? So when I had gone home and realized that I didn't necessarily have the best people aligned with me for this, because I need people who aren't going to get scared, right?
Yeah.
So again, I was a little embarrassed to tell people that I was looking for Bigfoot. That seemed a little bit out there to me at the time still, but now I'm hooked because I've had an experience. So I want to go back and do more. So I tell my friend Jena, she was my best friend. I tell her, hey, look, this is what I just did. And she was so mad at me that I didn't take her with. And she's like, why are you embarrassed? And I'm like, I didn't know how you'd feel about that. And she's like, I'm excited. Let's go do it. I don't believe in Bigfoot, but I'm willing to go look. And so, you know, she was willing to walk into a portal with me. She's still willing to walk into a portal with me. And when we went to that location, it wasn't there anymore.
Oh.
But she's still willing to walk into a portal with me. So if we ever
ask you a question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know, you know Jessica Jones.
Yes, I know who she is.
Okay. She was on a outing, and two of the people on her team went into what they think was probably a portal, although it was square in shape instead of round. But I will tell you that those two people died within a year. So you want to be careful what you wish for.
All right.
Portals apparently aren't totally benign.
I would say my sense of that would be that would be an unnatural portal.
Yeah. They said it was black. They said it was black.
That I wouldn't consider that, because okay. Native people have been drawing portals on rocks for millennia.
Yeah.
And the way that they draw them are circles within circles within circles, or a spiral, right? On all the petroglyphs or ancient rock art, they're drawing portals like that. Okay. It only makes sense that they would draw them the way that they looked.
Yeah.
Right. So what I've seen, and what I've seen evidence of more than one time, are the circles. Okay. So I think that is being created by a frequency.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And an intention, a conscious intention and frequency. I think that's how they're opening and manipulating and using the portals. I think any person who's at a higher consciousness level, who is aware of those types of things, I think that we are capable of accessing and using those as well. And this is why I'm very interested in petroglyphs especially the ones that look like that. I recently met a Hopi man from down south who actually is a guide to petroglyphs. And I said, I would like to go to the ones that are the circles, because I think that they drew those where they saw them. And if they did draw them where they saw them, then maybe I can open them.
Right.
So I would like to visit those places. And so if I had all the money in the world, you know what I'd be doing all the time. But I'm a regular person. I have a business. I have bills. I have to work just like everybody else. And so as much as I would love to be out doing adventures all the time, I have to be working and paying bills.
Yes.
I have to pick and choose what I'm doing and when I get to do it. So yeah, there's that. So
it's
Mary,
a balance. Yeah,
Mary,
if you're working, then you don't have the time, and if you're not working, I'm retired. Mark's well, semi-retired, but I'm retired. But you don't have the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in Minnesota, and the Hopi are obviously way down south. So eventually, I have an open invitation to go down there, because I started speaking at Star Knowledge conferences now. Not about Bigfoot. Now I'm sharing Star Knowledge from my tribe. So I'll backtrack a little bit. So when I found my native elder, when he sent out a call that I heard his wolves howling all over the place, there weren't any. And he was calling me back. And the first thing he said to me when I talked to him, he's called me, because I called him. And he called me back and he said, I could hear you crying out there. And he was calling me home to the reservation. And so it was interesting, because his wife had told me on the phone that he had sent out a call. Apparently you've been hearing it. And he was calling me back home.
Oh.
And that's how he became my native elder. Anyway, he was amazing, and he guided me through so many of the things that I experienced, and he taught me so many traditional things that are not written down in books or online, and if they are, they're not very detailed.
Yeah.
And so what we call star knowledge is a whole bunch of information that is very ancient, native information that's passed down. Each tribe has their own star knowledge that is unique to them. And some of it is similar, but everybody's got a little bit of information, and we're now sharing it. And so there's these star knowledge conferences, and I've spoke at the last 3. And so there's one in South Dakota on the Yankton Reservation down in South Dakota, in Piggstown, South Dakota. And then there's another one at the Serpent Mound in Ohio.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if there's any others. If there are, I'm sure I'll be finding out about it soon. But so I'm now a star knowledge speaker, and I've started sharing that. I got asked to speak at a UFO conference in Michigan, and I thought, well, that's odd. Why would I talk about Bigfoot at a UFO conference when I know all this other stuff? So I talked about Bigfoot for all of 10 minutes, and then I switched over to star knowledge, and everybody there was just in shock that I knew that. And I'm just like, well, yeah. And and that's how they found, the star knowledge people found me. So that's how I started doing that. So now I'm doing that, and I feel like that is more of who I am. That is more, when I'm at the star knowledge conferences, I feel like I'm with my people.
Yeah.
Well, so
I don't want to stop you on that. We can go on with that too, but I had a question from earlier.
Go ahead.
So when you ask the question of where Bigfoot are, and you see maybe this golden path, then have you ever asked if because we hear that there are benevolent Bigfoot and then Bigfoot that aren't so nice. And I wondered if you ever asked, like, which kind there are there.
So I don't have to ask that. Typically, they show me.
Okay.
So the golden light is normally what I see when in response to Bigfoot evidence.
Right.
When I see Bigfoot and I ask, is there Bigfoot here? If there are, I see the Bigfoot there.
Oh, okay.
And so I'll either see the Bigfoot body, they'll even point to which way they're going. Sometimes I'll see a big face. And if I see a big face, I can see the expression on their face. And then I'll get the feeling of, so if they're not friendly, I get the fear.
Okay.
And I get very strongly, this is an aggressive male. Do not go there. Stay away from this spot over here. And so I get those kinds of guidances. Now, I have done remote viewing for other Bigfoot research teams.
I was just getting ready to ask you about that.
And before I go further on that, let me just go ahead and say, please do not blow up my phone. Because everybody wants me to do it for them, and I can't possibly do it for everybody.
Yeah.
And nor would I, because not everybody has really great intentions.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, Mary and I do.
I can feel that from you. So,
yeah.
But there are some that I've been doing it for quite a few years. And there was one time this one particular group had Russell Acord with them from Expedition Bigfoot. They had him out there for the evening, right? And so they asked me if I would remote view for them again, and I did. And when I did, I could see there were different groupings of Bigfoot in the area. And so I was writing down what I was seeing. And when I do that, I'll drop GPS coordinate pin and I will say, this is where this ones are. And you're going to experience this here. This is where these ones are. You know, I might say they're older. They're going to be slower. They're going to be more relaxed. They're nice. They'll probably play with you a little bit. But then I saw on this particular remote view, I saw a group of younger ones that I would say, juveniles. And they did this. Shh, don't tell. And so I marked where they were and I kept it. But I didn't tell them that until after they were done. And it was the next day and they were done.
Uh-huh.
And then I sent that information to the guy who I do the remote viewing for. And I said, oh, by the way, there was a group of juveniles that were telling me not to tell you where they were. They were doing the shh. And so I wasn't going to tell you. But now that it's over, this is where they were. He says, oh, my gosh, we heard talking from that area. And, those guys probably wouldn't have rushed over there. But I think Russell Acord is the kind that he's going to go check it out, especially if I had said that they're there, So,
oh, yeah.
So I think that was probably good for that, purpose.
Yeah. Leave them alone. If they want to be left alone, leave them alone.
Yeah. They had enough going on with the other ones that were there. So, but so I'll get that, where they'll literally be like, shh, don't tell. So I get some interaction. I get some interaction with them on that too. Sometimes I get the hi, they're like waving. They're friendly, and so I get a good sense of how they are.
Well, yeah. So part of why I brought that up, so our moderator and her pops, he's Gary, he's got a group down in Oklahoma that he's very friendly with. They interact with him. They're friendly. Nothing but good about them. But then we just had a guy on here earlier who I think now is gone, who is, I think, one of our native members, who said that he is literally having to separate himself from a band of Bigfoot because they have been not good. And
well, there apparently was one, probably a teenage one, who was making trouble, by the sounds of it. And the rest of them were not policing their own, which is what they should do. And I've hollered at them myself for allowing troublemakers, to continue. but he's had to, chase, separate himself from them just
Yeah.
because of that troublemaker.
But so the reason I was going into the good and the bad, it seems like we hear of both types.
Yeah.
And I don't hear a lot of ones that really, very rarely do you hear of them that hurt people, but sometimes they do. I have heard of a few instances. You made the comment earlier about them throwing rocks at you. They don't really throw them at you. They throw them near you, because if they want to hit you, they will.
Oh,
And
definitely.
I have heard of people that got hit by the rocks because they had a group that were not necessarily friendly. So anyway, that was all I was getting at on that. And, the other part I was very interested in, because I do, and I've said this on the show before, I do a once a year expedition or camp out, whatever, up in Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania. And we know they're up there.
They are. I've been there.
Yeah, but getting interaction with them is hit and miss. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And I never know if it's because of something we're doing wrong, or we just picked the wrong day of the year, or, we always go around the same time every year.
To the same area.
The same area, same time of the year, although we found out last year that we don't get near as much interaction on a full moon as we do in the dark of the moon. They seem to like the dark of the moon better. I've heard them talking right outside the campsite. I've heard them walking around. We've not had a Class A face-to-face up there with the group I go with, but we've had a lot of howls and whoops and tree knocks. But I just, when you said that, it made me think, and I won't bug you about it, but, it would be nice to know when we're going up there if we're doing things right, or if we're doing something that's upsetting them, or because we always go to the same place every year. They probably know by now when we're coming, because they'll be like, oh yeah, them goofy people. So I'm from North Carolina, and I've got 2 guys that come sometime. Well, actually 3 sometimes from New York. We have usually at least 2 or 3 from, sometimes 4 or more from Pennsylvania. And so, we all come together there. So I'll just take a second here for this, and then I'll give it back to you. But I formed Cryptid Search Investigations. Ultimately, it's a nonprofit organization, but I wanted it to be an alternative for people to BFRO. And I haven't been able to accomplish that yet. It's a nonprofit, so anything people do with me, first of all, I don't charge people to go on these outings like BFRO does, so mine are free. But if they donate money for any reason, it's tax deductible. I am a legitimate 501c3, and I say I am. We have a board of directors, and that's who meets every year up there in Pennsylvania. We meet. That's our annual meeting. And so we get together, we do our annual meeting, and so far, Cryptid Search Investigations hasn't really taken off the way I hoped. I had originally wanted to have, investigators in different areas, just like BFRO does, that would take reports. And I had a guy that was going to set up a database for us, just like they have, and all that. But I never got the database set up because I never got anybody to take reports. So anyway, that's my story. And Mary, of course, built Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Yeah. She's got 20,000 members in that. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, and we've got a database and a map with everything. I had people set up in just about every county in Pennsylvania, investigators and researchers that I could contact at the very least. Who would I could just call them, and they would go and do an investigation for me and then report back.
Yeah.
But eventually, for one reason or another, they kind of drifted away. They didn't want to be involved, or they wanted to just remain independent, which is fine. It's the way it is. And so you know,
But
I said,
you
okay,
still got the membership on the Facebook page, even though you
I
don't have all the
absolutely
other.
do. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
I don't know, Jen, if you knew, but I have, and I don't know if you're a member already. I'd have to look, but I have Cryptid Search Investigations on Facebook, but it's a private group, and I only have about 500 members right now. I'm kind of picky about who I let in, but obviously, if you ask to be in, I'd let you in, and maybe you already are. I don't know, but I have to look and see.
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure. My Facebook is so big right now, I can't even
Yeah,
track what it is. I
I know.
I monetized my Facebook last year.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Yeah.
now well, see, at my business, I'm a holistic healer and I've been doing that for 26 years. And so it's just an avenue for me to expand that onto Facebook. So a lot of my stuff that I'm sharing on Facebook is like healing stuff, personal growth,
right. Yeah.
healing, And people are like, "Can we have more Bigfoot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but this is what I do for work." So
Well,
Bigfoot is my
yeah.
hobby.
Well, and we haven't got to that yet, but you can anytime. You can promote
Absolutely.
your any of your website, your business, whatever you want while we're on here. You can tell people how to contact you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll
We
shut
can
up
put
and
it
let
in
you
the
do
chat.
that.
Yeah, whatever the name of it is, and
Well, on Facebook, I'm JenCruz.16. And that's my personal Facebook. It's monetized, so come follow me there. I'm at my limit of friends, so that's difficult. I have to go through and like figure out who I'm going to cut if I want to take somebody new. It's kind of sad, but I don't know what to do about that. But I can't. They don't limit my followers, so you can still follow me on there. And
Okay.
that's really a good place for people to reach me to if they want to message me or whatever is
Yeah.
on Facebook. So it's JenCruz.16. And we have a She-Squatchers Facebook page. We do have a website, but I haven't updated it for a really long time. I've been really bad about that. I've got so many other things going on. So really the Facebook page is probably the place where the most accurate stuff is going to be.
Yeah.
I am also on TikTok as Jen Cruz. And that's where I am. As far as like everything else, really Facebook is a really good place to get me if you want to
Yeah.
talk to me.
Yeah. That's
So-
Well,
good.
you're not a member yet, and I'm going to try to send you an invite.
Please do. I would like to be.
I don't know if I can figure out how to do that, but I'm going to try here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anyway, you can go on with. I kind of stopped you a while ago in the middle of some stuff, so feel free to
Yeah.
go on
We've
with
got a
whatever you'd like to
question.
talk about. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've got a question from Robert. What area of Minnesota does Jen think is more active with Bigfoot?
well, I think that anywhere where there's water. I know northern Minnesota is definitely very active. There's also a lot going on in southern Minnesota too. But definitely they love cedar swamps.
Okay.
They love bogs. They love all of that. And that's typically where people are not going to be. And so, we've got all of that going on in northern Minnesota. There's a whole bunch of woods. There's that is pretty highly unpopulated. So, all of that. I am a northern Minnesota girl. So I've had all of my experiences for the most part that have happened in Minnesota, but I've looked for Bigfoot all over the country and even across the water into Europe now. But most of my Bigfoot sightings that I've had with my eyes in the open in the daytime has been in northern Minnesota. So I'm actually a tribal member of the Red Lake Band of Chippewa in northern Minnesota. I have had lots of things going on there on my reservation, as well as the reservations near that, White Earth, Cass Lake, all of that.
Now, are the Ojibwe part of the Chippewa? How does that work?
Okay, so to explain that is, back in the day when they put the Native people on the reservations, they would send over a white guy, and they would say, "What's your name?" And they would say their name in the native language. And then the person would write down what they thought they heard. And however they thought they should spell that. And then they would write their X next to it. So when they would say the name of their tribe, what they were saying was Anishinaabe or Chippewa.
Okay.
And
I heard both in there.
so, yeah. So somebody wrote down Chippewa.
Okay.
But the name of the tribe was Anishinaabe or Chippewa.
Yeah.
So native people will say Ojibwe.
Okay.
However, the name of my reservation that I'm enrolled in is the Red Lake Band of Chippewa Indians. That is the name. It's not appropriate because somebody said I shouldn't say the word Indians. I said, that is the name of my reservation. That's the name of my tribe. Red Lake Band of Chippewa Indians. It's even on my license plate that says that.
Okay. Yeah.
So don't tell me it's not appropriate. That's the name.
Yeah. I'm just outside of the Cherokee Indian Reservation here in North Carolina, and I haven't had any of them complain about the term Indian. I think the people that get upset about these terms are usually people that are not Native American to begin with, and I do say Native American when I can.
Yes, and you're right about that because it's always completely white people with no Native descent that are telling me that it's inappropriate. And I'm like, maybe I should be telling you what's inappropriate, not vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Yep.
So I grew up and everybody on my reservation and the reservation where I grew up, we were referred to as American Indians. That's what it was. And it wasn't until the more recent history that they adopted the term Native American. But there are lots that still go by American Indians.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I spent almost 20 years in Alaska, and up there they do use the term Native American. They prefer that. They don't. I guess the Alaskan natives don't really like being called Indians, but they're kind of different. You know, they never were put on reservations. They've always had their own land, and then in 1984 they did the Native Allotment Act, and they all got millions of acres of land. And that's something that the natives in the lower 48 never got. So, although
they did do allotments on most of the Chippewa tribes in Minnesota, and when they did that, each native got a certain amount of land, which they promptly sold and didn't have anymore. So my reservation never did allotments. We didn't sign that treaty. We did not become one of the 9 Minnesota Chippewa tribes. We stayed separate, so that we did not do allotments. And my reservation still does not do allotments. All of the land is still held in trust by all of the members equally.
So what they're doing here, and I don't think this is a bad thing, although some people do, the Cherokee have a big casino. It's about the biggest one in the Southeast, I think. And it's just a few miles from where I'm sitting right now. But they make millions of dollars every year off that. Well, what they do is when every one of their tribal members turns 18, at least that's what I've been told. I'm not a tribal member, so I'm just repeating what I've been told, that they each get, and I've seen some of what they bought, so I think it may be true, but that they get $100,000 when they turn 18, flat out cash. And in the last 10 years especially, the Cherokee Band, Eastern Band of Cherokee is what they're called here. They have started buying back land, massive amounts of land. So every time a piece of land becomes for sale here, they buy it. So in another 10 years, they'll probably own everything here that was originally taken away from them.
I love that.
So
let me just say to clear this up, because a lot of people are under the idea that if they're Native people, they get checks and they get big checks. That is not usually true.
No.
Most Native people who are enrolled in a tribe don't get a big check at all. My reservation definitely do not send out big checks. That would be nice. We have 3 casinos, but we don't get any checks from those.
Well, my understanding here is it's just a one-time deal. When they graduate high school or turn 18, somewhere in there, they get a big check. and that's it. That's supposed to last them the rest of their life. And
Gotcha.
if they blow it, they blow it. But a lot of them buy homes and things with it, and then they never have to have a house payment. So
Well, that's
nice.
good. That would be good. That would be very good. Yeah.
So anyway, I've yacked a lot. Why don't you go on and tell us some more about something, whether it's Bigfoot or it's what is it, the star people or star
knowledge?
Star knowledge. There you go.
Star knowledge.
What is that all about?
Well, I mean, different tribes have different star knowledge that they're holding, that they have passed down from generation to generation to generation. And for my tribe, the Anishinaabe people, originally we were from the East Coast, which is now northern United States and southern Canada. We were all along the coast, and this was like a couple thousand years ago. And they had 7 prophets that came to the people, and they said that they walked out of the Great Salt Water. So they literally said that they live at the bottom of the ocean. Okay. And they came to tell us prophecies of what was coming. And they gave a series of directions for each prophecy. So they gave the first prophecy. When that thing happened, then they had the series of instructions on what to do when that happened. So when those things happened, then that was the time of the first fire. They called it the first fire. So the people were living in the time of the first fire. And that's when they knew to implement the first fire instructions and what to do. And there were 7 fires. Okay. So 7 periods of instruction, 7 periods of prophecy, 7 periods of instructions of what to do when that happened. All of those things have happened. All of them have happened. And I can't possibly go in and tell you all of it. I could. We don't have time for it. I could.
We'll have to do another show sometime.
So, but I will tell you this. These are key points that are quite interesting. One of the prophecies said that there are strangers coming with pale faces. They will wear the face of a friend and a brother, but be cautious, because some of them will wear that as a mask hiding death. And they will kill the people to the point of extinction, as well as they will kill the wolves from the land of the people. Both will be hunted for their hair. And that you have to do everything in your power to make sure that some of the people and some of the wolves survive this, because they will be hunted to the point of extinction. You have to make sure that some of the people and some of the wolves survive, because, and then you fast forward to a further in the future prophecy that says, when the wolves begin to populate the land of the people, the original Anishinaabe will return. The descendants of the original Anishinaabe will return. And they will take up the ways of living in harmony again with nature and the earth. And then they will go out and teach everyone everywhere on the planet how to live in harmony with each other and the earth. And if they are successful, then the 8th and final fire will be lit. And that is described as a very beautiful planet, a very peaceful and harmonious place to be, that we would all enjoy with no war. But another one of the prophecies was talking about the people that were coming, and that when this started happening, they gave them instructions on where to, they were supposed to leave the coast, and they gave them instructions on where to go. And they were telling them to move inland, and they were giving them literally a map of where to go. And they were to walk to the Great Lakes inland from the East Coast to the Great Lakes. And then they were to walk above the Great Lake, right? But they were to follow the sacred Magi shell, the sacred Magi shells. Well, I know what Magi shells are. They're used in our tribe. They're little white shells, and they're not even from the Great Lakes. They're from the ocean, and they're called cowrie shells in English.
Okay.
You know what cowrie shells look like.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Well, how did they get to the Great Lakes though?
they walked.
No, but I'm talking about how did these shells get there?
Well, that was my question. Exactly. Right. I'm like, why are the shells there if they don't come from there? Right. What happened? Are they bred? They were supposed to follow the sacred Magi shells.
Yeah.
So here's me trying to figure that out in my mind. I'm like, what are they breadcrumbing them on the trail like Hansel and Gretel? You know, these little shells are showing the way. Are there piles of them? Because they're too small to like notice. I'm like, and so here's me asking all kinds of questions, right? And it comes out that, it wasn't really clear. And that's the thing about these stories. Whenever you're supposed to hear the stories from an elder who knows the stories and knows the inside meaning of the stories, right? And so I was getting this information here and this information there. And it wasn't until I was given a bracelet that my great grandfather had made for me and left it for me to have. And it was told to be given to me when I was older. So, and then I received this bracelet. It's made of these shells, right? And they were actually quite large shells. They were brown speckled, but they look like a cowrie shell, like that shape. They were just large and brown speckled. And this was the bracelet that was given to me that was made by my great grandfather. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to my native elder's cousin because my native elder had died. And so I sent it to his cousin and I said, do these shells have any particular meaning? Like my great grandfather made this for me and it was supposed to be given. Does it have a meaning? And he said, yeah, those are the shells that we're waiting for. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, those are the shells that we're waiting for to follow from the 7 fire prophecies. And I'm like, what? And I said, Magi shells, they're little white ones. He goes, no, the ones we're waiting for are Magi shells, but they're brown speckled and they're large.
Wow.
Really large. And I said, even these would be too small. He goes, they'll rise up in the Great Lakes and we follow them. Wow. And I said, even these shells are too small to be noticing in the Great Lakes. Even these are too small. And he said, no. These are very large. And they rise up from the bottom of the water. And then they move slowly along the shoreline and the people follow them. That's how we got here. We followed them. And I sat there and in my mind, I'm seeing a ship.
Yeah.
And I said, are you talking about a ship that just looks like this? And he's like, yes. He says, they're at the bottom of the water and they rise up onto the surface and then they move slowly so that we can follow them on the land. And that's how we got here. And they told us never to leave here, to always stay here and wait. And so we're supposed to stay where the food grows on top of water. Well, when they were told this, they didn't know that food grew on top of water. They're like, food doesn't grow on top of water. They're like, it does. You'll find it when you get there. And wild rice grows on top of the water. Yeah. And it doesn't grow on the East Coast. It grows here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so this is where we're supposed to stay, where the food grows on top of water with the wild rice. And so there's all these stories then that become even more complicated when you discover that the teachers came from the bottom of the ocean. They came up to give us these warnings and these instructions to make sure that we survived so that we could implement the instructions and do the things that they told us to do to guarantee our survival, and that we could then come back into harmony with nature and the earth, and then go out there and teach everyone else how to return to harmony with the planet. And I'm happy to say that I'm one of those people that has returned to take up the old ways and live in harmony with nature again. And I am out there teaching people how to do that. And that is currently happening. We are in the 7th fire. And
let me ask you, have you heard of the people on the rim of the world?
No.
Okay. Yeah, a friend of mine is, she's from the Ojibwa tribe. And she's told me a few things about, that's another name for the Bigfoot. And something about a crystal skull. And a few other things, but...
Okay, so I'm just going to be the first to tell you that the Ojibwe is a humongous tribe. We are in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Canada, Michigan, northern North Dakota, all the way above that into Canada and above the Great Lakes.
Yes.
So when the people were taken put onto the reservations, or in Canada they were called reserves, right? They all took the children away and put them into these mission schools that were mandatory. It was like giant orphanages that were awful. More than 50% of the children died there.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were not allowed to speak the language, to pass down information, or any of that anymore. So there are stories that are traditional Ojibwe stories that are told in one location that are not told or even known over here.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that's why. That's why. So I love gathering information from other areas, from different Ojibwe, because it's not that it's not wrong. It's just because I haven't heard it yet. It's something that hasn't made it over here yet.
Absolutely. No, I understand. Yeah, regional. Yeah, she said that she's lived in North Dakota, Canada. She's moved all over, and now she's in Ohio. But
So
wonderful lady.
Are you talking about Terry?
No.
Okay. Because
No,
Terry has a crystal skull.
Terry.
And she's in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
So she's at the Serpent Mound. She's at the Serpent Mound.
Yeah, well, if she wants to know, if you contact, I don't know Terry, but if you talk to her or anything, I can put her in contact with this lady.
I would love to hear more about this. I would absolutely love it. I actually went to an event where they had brought in different spiritual teachers from the Ojibwe to this event. And I was often spending most of my time in the spiritual tent where we were hearing stories. And the elder who was there, she was from the North Shore of Lake Superior, which is really far from where I live. It's about 6 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling stories, and of course, I'm a sponge when I start hearing traditional stories. I am a sponge for that.
Yes.
My elder always would tell me stories, and then he would say, "The stories belong to you now. Tell them." That's what he would say. And so I tell everybody, the story. Once you hear a story, it belongs to you. Tell them. But the stories are meant to be told by an elder who understands the story and the multiple layers of meaning that it contains. Okay.
Right.
And then the end of the story typically does not make sense, and it leaves you going, what? So when you read a story online, most of the time it won't make sense to you, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense, it's ridiculous, blah blah blah. And it's because it's meant to be told to you by an elder who then explains it to you and what it means to you, and the moral of the story, which you never see coming, and it literally will change your life, because you can't block it. Most of the time when you hear something that's going to change your life, you block it because you see it coming. This you don't see coming, it'll change your life because you can't block it. It just hits you and you go, whoa, that's whoa. And so that's how those stories are designed. Anyway, so I heard a story about the first birch bark basket from this elder from the North Shore of Lake Superior. Then I'm at my reservation and we're doing a wellness day. And my elder's like, he wanted me to teach about passion and purpose at our wellness day. So I get up and I start talking about passion and purpose. And I talk about what was shared earlier and how it reminded me about the story about the first birch bark basket. And I went like this, and everybody's going, and I'm like, the story about the first birch bark basket. And everybody's going, and my elder's like, and I go, you don't know the story of the first birch bark basket? He's like, no. Where did you hear it? And I said, I heard it from an elder from the North Shore of Lake Superior. He goes, we've never heard that here. Tell us the story, Jen. It belongs to you. Tell us the story. Yeah. And so I got to tell that story on my reservation for the first time.
Oh, wow. What an honor.
Since it had been lost. And that's a big deal, because the birch bark baskets were a big deal for the Ojibwe. So for them not even to know the story of the first birch bark basket, it was a big deal. And it contained so many layers of wisdom that it was incredible. And it had so many layers of wisdom and it contained in the story. Just incredible stuff. And so I if there are any Native people out there listening, I cannot urge you enough to gather the stories from your elders, remember the stories, tell the stories to the younger ones. I did this at the last Star Knowledge Conference, and I had 3 grandmothers come up to me in the days following, telling me that they had not been sharing the stories with their own family, and they were crying. They're like, "Thank you. We're going to start telling the stories now." They realized they hadn't been telling their stories.
Yes. They have to pass it along. Otherwise, it's lost.
Yes, yes. And I work with the elders from my reservation. My tribe hires me to work with the nursing home residents once a month. I move into the nursing home and I work with each resident one-on-one for the last week of the month. And they heard I was speaking at these Star Knowledge conferences, and they asked their activities coordinator if I would come and speak for them. So they set up a thing for me to come and speak for them. And I'm like, what do you want to know? You know, and they're like, we want to know what you're talking about out there. So I started telling them, you know, and I started talking about the stories, and I said, you know, the stories are you may know a story that nobody else knows.
Yeah.
So if you have stories, and I'm willing to come and sit here with you off the clock, I will come back another day and I will listen to your stories. I will remember them, and I will make sure they are told.
Yeah.
So let me know if you want me to come, and I will listen to your stories, and I will remember them, and I will make sure they are passed on. And so when I was going to the next Star Knowledge conference, I asked each elder, what do you think? What would you like me to share with them? And they said, tell them about the stories. Tell them. That was the most important thing to them, was that they wanted to make sure that other natives are telling their stories.
Yes.
And passing them on. So,
Now, is it considered inappropriate for you to record those stories?
The old school people would say yes, it is inappropriate. They even thought it was inappropriate to write them down. My elder was the leader of our tribe. Like, he wasn't a chief, he was the spiritual leader.
Right.
And he was speaking about it. He was making PowerPoints about it. And his elders were like, no, that's not the way. And he's like, we have to move into the new way of doing things, or it's going to be lost.
Yes.
Yeah, it would seem like a way to make sure they weren't lost.
Yes.
To have a record.
Yeah.
And so he told me both ways. He said, my elders said no. And he said, and I pushed back and said yes, because otherwise it's going to be lost.
Yeah.
Now, again, to record the stories or to write them down is not going to come across the way that they are intended, because they are intended to be told to you by an elder who understands what they mean and how it applies to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so that's how it becomes life-changing. But they're still valuable stories that should be recorded, right, so that people can remember them.
Yes.
In years to come. But I think that understanding that they're meant to be life-changing on a personal level by giving that insight at the end that isn't written down, because it changes with each one. My elder used to tell me the same story over and over, and I'd be like, you told me this story already. He's like, I have never told you this story. I'm like, yeah, you did. I have never told you this story. And I'm like, okay. And I would listen, and I'm like, okay, he clapped his hands, the sparks flew, blah, blah, blah. I'm all kinds of disrespectful about it because I've heard it already many times. And then at the end, he hits me with a new meaning of it that I didn't even see coming, because it was a completely different story. It was the same story with a new meaning.
Right.
So if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
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 So I grew up believing that I was that my great grandmother was Native American. That was what my family taught me. But I've since done DNA, and it says I'm not. So I don't know what to think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Pyro. Yeah, I was going to mention when you asked if we had anybody Native, I knew Pyro was still here. And I think that little brother left, but he was Native too, I think. Yeah,
he left.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and I'm all for doing the books. I'm all for that. I'm in support of that. I love Native stories and how they're built. I've even come up with some of my own sometimes. I came up with a story that I call Walking Water, about how we are walking water.
Yeah.
Because water is so sacred to everybody, and especially to the people. And we are mostly water. Our molecules are 90%. We are 90% molecules. Our molecules are 90% water. So we are walking water. That's literally what we are. The science.
Well, yeah, the human body's like 98% water, isn't it?
Our molecules are 90% water. That
90%. Okay.
Our molecules are 90% of our molecules are water. Yeah. But as far as like the physical aspect, I'm not exactly sure how that ratio goes in, but molecules are 90% water.
I remember an old Star Trek episode where one of the aliens referred to humans as a sack of water. So.
Yep. Exactly. Very good.
Yeah.
I love it. And, as being a psychic, that's not necessarily what the native people would call me, but I'm more gifted. I'm gifted.
Well, they would call you some kind of a shaman or something, wouldn't they?
A shaman is actually a term that doesn't originate with native people at all.
Well, whatever they call it, but it's you had your holy people that could look and give predictions, just like that one story you told of what was, I've heard of other native tribes that had predictions of white men coming or light colored, and that they should fight them. And even wasn't that part of the ghost dance that the Sioux did was part of what caused so much trouble and led up to the place out there where a bunch of them got killed. I know there was a lot of them places, but anyway, you know what I mean?
I will tell you that what my elder said was that medicine, which is what he would call what I have, is called medicine. Medicine is medicine is passed down in the blood.
Okay.
And he said he could not teach me medicine. He could only encourage me to remember it.
Yeah.
That I could remember everything my ancestors knew. And he wanted me to remember what they knew, because he said, you have to do those things again. And then he pushed me to remember. Remember what you used to know. You need to do those things again. That's what he would say to me over and over and over again. And I'm like, well, how does it come? Because I get weird ideas sometimes. He's like, follow those ideas. And so then one day I was sitting at the sweat lodge with him and his sister, and I started to give him instructions on how to build an underground oven. And I could see my hands doing it, and I'm explaining it step by step on how to do this and how to do that. And they're both looking at me kind of funny. And then his sister said, have you done that before, Jen? Have you done that? And I'm like, no, I've never done that. And then I realized I had been speaking in a very thick accent that wasn't mine.
Oh, wow.
And I was giving them instructions on how to make a very old native underground oven, and what to wrap the food in so it didn't get dirty, and all this stuff, and they're both looking at me like, and I'm talking in a very thick native accent.
Oh, but it was in English. It wasn't in your native tongue.
It was in English, as far as I know. It was in English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I could remember. I can remember seeing my hands doing it, but I had never done it. And so I started to remember things that were from beyond my life, from before me. I started to remember where things were hidden.
Well,
I remembered where things were hidden. I told my elder, these are hidden here. And he said, shh, don't tell anybody that. That's true. That they are there. Don't tell anybody that. I'm like, okay. And I started finding things that even my tribe had forgotten about. I found them.
Yeah.
And brought them out. I have visions. I have waking visions, which I guess is a kind of a rare thing now for natives, I guess. And so when I would see things ahead of time, but they always come with a guidance, like I would see bad things ahead of time, and but it would come with the guidance on what to do so that we could avoid the really bad stuff. And so like I would tell him when I would have a vision and what the guidance was, and he would take care of it. So when he died, I didn't know who to tell anymore. So I just didn't tell anybody, because who's going to want to hear from me anyway? And
Yeah.
so I didn't tell anybody anything anymore. And then I was at the powwow one day, and my elder's uncle came to the powwow, and I know he didn't like to go to powwows because he was never there. He walked up to me, and he was a very short man. He was under 5 feet tall, and I'm 5'9". And he walked up to me and he said, "You sit there." And he was pointing to a cooler, and he had me sit on the cooler. So now I'm looking up at him, and he's scolding me. And he said, "We're in big trouble." And I'm like, "Why? And what's going on?" And he's like, "Nobody's having visions anymore. And if they are having visions, they're not telling us about it." And, and he's like, "We're walking through this world blind, not knowing what to do. Bad stuff's coming, and we have no guidance. We're not able to avoid it because nobody's telling us their visions anymore, or they're not having visions. Nobody's telling us their visions anymore, and we're in big trouble." And he's like, and I looked around, and everybody else is sitting there looking at me, and I'm like, I'm feeling scolded, and I was definitely getting scolded. And after that, I didn't hold my visions back anymore. Then I started giving them, and it was a good thing too, because I went to Standing Rock, and I started having visions at Standing Rock in South Dakota, and I started having visions of something that was coming and what was going to happen. And then I got the guidance, and there was like tons of these old native spirits that just piled into my tent at Standing Rock to tell me what to tell them. And I didn't have a fear anymore of not sharing what I was seeing. And I stomped right over to the head council teepees, and I was like, "This is what's coming. This is what's going to happen. This is what you need to do. You need to make sure everybody knows." 5 days later, it happened, and they reacted the right way.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that elder, my elder's uncle, coming and scolding me about not sharing the visions and the guidance, I would never have shared that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's important. It's important. There's a lot of dreamers. There's still dreamers out there that are having precognitive dreams, and they seem to talk to each other. But from what I learned there at Standing Rock is there aren't very many ones left that have the waking dreams, which I do. I started off with precognitive. I'll still have some of that. But when I start having waking visions of seeing it with my eyes open and I'm not even asleep, there's no question. Like when you have a dream, you're like, was it a dream? Was it a knowing?
Right.
There's a question there. But when you have a vision when you're awake, there's no question of what that was.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. So
we aren't getting very many questions tonight, so I try to wake the audience up and get some questions in here.
Maybe they don't know what to do with me. I'm weird, huh?
No, you're very interesting.
It's a different conversation, which is good. We enjoy these.
I enjoy it especially.
What I believe Bigfoot, people always ask me, what is Bigfoot? What do you think Bigfoot is? And my view of that goes along with my tribes. I think that they are spot on with that. That Bigfoot is our elder brother.
Yeah.
He's looking out for us. He's living the very most honest life that there is. And he represents one of the 7 sacred teachings of the grandfathers for my tribe. The Ojibwe or the Chippewa have the 7 sacred teachings of the grandfathers, and each one of the sacred teachings is represented by a known animal, not a mythical animal that they think maybe might exist, a known animal, right? Love is represented by the eagle, courage is represented by the bear, everything is represented by a known animal. Well, honesty is represented by Bigfoot. And has been for a very long time.
Okay.
So Bigfoot is our elder brother. It is believed that he is both physical and also able to walk between worlds, like the little people do, which are equally as real.
Yep. Oh yeah.
They are. I've seen them. There's different kinds of little people. I've seen various different kinds and encountered them. They're very awesome. I love them. Different kinds of nature spirits, also very real. Mm-hmm. I'm very much connected to the water spirits, very much so. Very connected to the water spirits.
Yeah.
And all of those things are very, very real. And so I you hear people say that Bigfoot shows themselves to people that they want to show themselves to. And I think that might be true, but in the similar fashion, I think it also has to do with a person's frequency and their level of consciousness. So if they have a low frequency, they're probably not going to see the Bigfoot. If they have a higher frequency, they're probably in that level where they might be able to see him if he comes out, right?
Mm.
And so it's not necessarily always that the Bigfoot may know you from here to there and one state to the next. It means that I think that your frequency is high and they recognize that.
So, question.
Yeah.
So people talk about being marked by Bigfoot.
Mhm.
And there have been people that I know that have said that they have. So let's say somebody here in North Carolina, Tennessee area has several interactions where they see Bigfoot or, whatever. They're in a situation where they have access to Bigfoot. But then they will travel. Okay, let's back up a minute. Let's say they then go, maybe they're researching 40 miles from home. But they go home, and a day or two later, they find evidence that Bigfoot is near their home now that they never saw evidence of before, whether it's footprints or whatever. But then they travel to, say, Colorado. And while they're in Colorado, they see Bigfoot. And people will say they've been marked. So is there something that Bigfoot you think can do to a person to make it so Bigfoot in other places can identify them?
Again, I think that's an energy thing. I definitely is an energy thing, that their frequency is higher and their consciousness level. Okay, so I can tell you on a scientific answer to that. So the human brain thinks at 400 billion bytes per second. That's not a possibility or a potential. That's what it's actually already doing. 400 billion bytes per second processing. But the average human is only consciously aware of 2,000 bytes per second. And if you try to make a pie chart of that, which I have tried to do, it won't accept it, because 2,000 bytes out of 400 billion every single second doesn't even show up as a hair on a full pie. It's not even a big enough number for that. So it's almost nothing. Humans are consciously aware of almost nothing of what they are already sensing in their whole awareness. So their conscious awareness is so unconscious, it's scary. Okay. So that being said, you can change your conscious awareness. You can expand your conscious awareness, which is something that I do. I've been doing that for 26 years in my profession, helping people expand their conscious awareness. And in doing so, it's like looking through a binoculars. You can look at an eagle through the binoculars. You can see that eagle really well. You might be unaware that there are a whole tree full of eagles there, because all you can see is the one that you're looking at. But if you turn your head a little bit, you can see what else is there. And that's exactly what we're talking about with your conscious awareness. You're only seeing 2,000 bytes per second. You can turn your head and see what else is there. You can do it. Everybody can do it. Being psychic isn't necessarily being special. It's being more aware. It's being more open and more aware to experience new things. And children are more aware than adults for the most part, because they're in a constant state of change and learning. They enter the world and they experience the world without knowing what's already there. Adults seem to think they already know everything that's there. And the majority, yeah, they do.
Only some of us.
But so what I'm saying is that when you enter, even Jesus said, if you come to him as if you're children. And literally, that's an open awareness and not knowing everything already, to be innocent and to be curious and to not judge everything in advance and just to have that openness, really. Okay. So to have that openness is so important. So once you have an open frequency and a higher level of frequency, you're able to see more. You're able to perceive more. And that doesn't change when you leave that area. You take that with you. Yeah. Okay. So wherever you go, your awareness is open. You've now seen Bigfoot. So now you're
Yeah.
open to seeing Bigfoot if he's there. And I think the majority of people walk through the woods can walk right past one and not even see it.
Oh, probably. Well, I'll give you my example. I saw one, at least I saw what I believe was one, because it wasn't clear enough for me to actually say, but there's only two things it could have been. It was either a Bigfoot or a dogman. And that was in 1973, the first one. I went until this past February before I had another face on in February of 2026. In between, I've heard all kinds of noises and footsteps and talking, but I've never seen one. They don't seem to follow me around, except my first one was in Illinois, and my last one in February was in Alaska. And so it's kind of, I don't know what vibration I have, but they must find me a little bit boring.
The closest I've been to one in the daytime is 30 feet.
That
And
you were aware of.
that I was aware of, that
Yeah.
that I saw.
Yeah.
And so I was standing where we had put our tent, whereas these two trails crossed on this private property. And I was standing there talking to an author who was there to observe us at this location because he writes books about the property because it's so active. And I'm standing there talking to him, and I get the feeling that somebody's staring at me. And, you follow that. I always say that like I think everybody has that sense. I don't know. Do other people have that sense or not? But I felt like somebody was staring at me, so I followed that feeling, and I looked into the forest, and I locked eyes with this Bigfoot. And it went, and I went, but it was only 30 feet away.
It must have been a girl Bigfoot.
I think it might have been. I do.
Yeah.
I do. But I later determined that she hangs out there. She was a black one. The other one I had seen at that property was a dark brownish red one, and it was considerably larger than that one. I have since determined that she hangs out there, and so I always put my tent there now. And one time I actually drug my cot out into the open under the trees during the day. I said, I'm going to take a nap. Come check me out. Come check me out. I'm going to take a nap. You can come on, look at me real close if you want. I'm going to take a nap. And I pulled it right over there where she was at. Right outside the trees there. And I don't know if she came to check me out or not, but I was inviting her to come check me out. I'm gonna take a nap right here. You can come check me out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's pretty neat.
That's a fun place up here in northern Minnesota.
I
And
bet.
the property owner is really particular about who he lets come over there. He just called me the other night, and we're planning a get together where I'm gonna go stay there, and it's gonna be good. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
I used to go up in northern Minnesota quite a bit, and
Yeah.
northern Wisconsin, the upper peninsula, Michigan, all that, but I haven't been up there in years.
Very active spot. We've done expeditions in northern Michigan, southern Michigan, and Pennsylvania, Ohio, Allegheny. We were in Allegheny.
Yeah.
That was a fun spot.
Good area.
Well, that's Mary's home country, so she knows all the good spots.
Yeah. We even went looking at Kizua. Am I even pronouncing that right?
Kizua.
Right? Kizua.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
see, that's another lake that was built over a lot of Native American burial sites, and the native tribe there was very much opposed to it, and they put a curse on it. And a lot of people think that a lot of the activity around there now is the result of that curse. But anyway, I don't know.
It's also a high portal area. And there's a lot of portals there.
Yeah, UFOs, portals, Bigfoot, Dogman, little people, Pugwudgies. Pugwudgies are my favorites.
Are they? Why?
Oh, they're just cute little rascals.
All right, love it.
You know what they are?
Yeah, I know what they are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just think they're neat. They waddle. I mean, I've heard they appear in different ways, okay, but the ones that I'm aware of kind of waddle like a penguin, but they look more like an upright beaver when you look at them from the backside. They got hair. They're covered with hair or quills. Some people say they're quills. But then when you see them from the front, they've got kind of a humanoid face with little bitty arms. That's the description I've got. I have not seen one personally. I've just heard other people tell me about them.
Okay.
What about rakes? You got rakes up in Minnesota?
I
Or
hear
pale crawlers?
I hear tell about different things that people just don't understand. I've asked the elders of course, when I'm working with the elders, I'm like, hey, you got any dogman stories for me or anything like that? And I have heard some of them tell, and I'm like, can I share this story? And they're like, yeah. So I always ask, can I share this story? Yes. Okay. So when I ask about dogman, what they say, I've heard this story from different people who experienced this very similar thing, where they're driving and something starts running alongside their car, and it's dark and it's large. And when they look at it, it looks like it's got a dog face, but it's running really fast as their car, and it's keeping up with them. And so then they're like speeding to get away from it because they're scared. They're like, what is that? Because they don't know. And then I've heard stories of children being chased home by something like that.
Oh, wow.
The stories that the elders used to say, they would say about don't going out into the woods at night because that's theirs.
And don't whistle, right?
Don't whistle at night. Yep, that calls them in. You don't want to call them in.
Yep.
So then, as a Bigfoot researcher, what do we want to do out there? We're going to start whistling, right?
Yeah. Now, see, out in Allegheny, the story I heard was that the whistling brought in something, and Mary may know, a face eater. Are you familiar with that, Mary? That term?
What is it?
A face eater.
Face eater.
Your face. That if you whistle, the face eater would come and eat your face. That's what I heard.
Yep. I'll have to ask Dave Wargo.
Oh yeah, he'd know.
Heard of it. He would know.
Jen is also up in. Aren't you up in Wendigo country?
Yeah, that's like an Ojibwe term. Yeah.
So what do you think that is?
Okay.
I have had some experience with Wendigo. Gugwe is face eater.
That could be.
Is Pops Ojibwe?
No.
He's in Oklahoma. So he probably is familiar. They have a lot of Gugwe down in East Texas and Oklahoma, I think.
But that's how they pronounce that, Gugwe, right?
Yeah.
Gugwe, yeah. Is that a Ojibwe word?
It sounds like an Ojibwe word to me because that they pronounce everything E at the end with way, A.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of the Ojibwe, is learning how to read it and pronounce it correctly.
Okay.
So I'm not fluent, but I do speak some, and I can read some of it. I can definitely pronounce it correctly if I read it. So it's about learning how to read it. But about the Wendigo, to talk about, I've heard different tellings of the Wendigo. The Wendigo is a spirit, and there are some good and some bad ones from what I've been told. And I actually met a man who his grandmother named him Wendigo.
Oh.
And I'm like, why would your grandmother name you that? I was like, what? Anyway, the reason that we started talking about it is because he was dating a woman that I knew. And she took a picture of him. And in the picture of him, there was a shadow that was inside of him and was larger than him. And so it was above him also.
Oh.
And it looked like this shadow figure of something that had very large horns.
Ooh.
And but it was inside of him, and it was also too big to be all completely in him, so it was also outside of him. Anyway, when she showed him the picture, he said, yeah, that's because I'm Wendigo. And she was scared, and so she said she would only listen to me about that. So she and he called me to tell me what happened and sent me the picture. And then he was explaining he was actually from my reservation.
Oh.
And so so he talked to me about it, and then she was basing her idea of it, what to do with it after that, based upon what I said. So anyway, I listened to what he had to say, and that he was told that they had a choice. They could be good, they could be bad. And that would only make sense, wouldn't it? Like, as with anything else, we could be good, we could be bad. Bigfoots can be good, or they could have a bad nature. You know, you never know. But there was also one that was caught on film, on video. That is not public knowledge.
Oh, okay.
And it was... I probably shouldn't even talk about that. That's pretty secret stuff. But I'm just going to say that it was caught on video after something really bad happened, and the person who was holding it died. It got up and walked away. It got up out of them and walked away.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's exactly what it looked like, was what this one that I had seen a picture of looked like.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was... the reason that person had done this really bad thing.
Wow. Well, so, I know we're running up on our 2-hour time, but I want to ask you before we get done, if it's all right with Mary at least, and I'm sure it will be,
sure,
if you would be willing to come back on with us sometime.
Absolutely. This has been fun. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we have enjoyed it so much, and if anybody in the audience didn't stick around, they don't know what they missed, because I think it's been great, and I think you're great, and I think we've probably only scratched the surface of what you know.
Oh, I've had so many Bigfoot encounters, it's crazy, and we didn't even go into that, but yeah, well, yeah, there's a lot there.
We can do that another time then, because like I said, we're coming up on our 2-hour mark, and we've been trying to stick to that.
Yeah.
So, and I can't believe we didn't have any more questions than we had. Normally we get a lot of questions, and I think maybe people are so in awe of everything you've said that they don't know what to ask.
I think so. There's just been a very few, and then I think everyone is just sitting back and absorbing, and they'll process. And no, I know they've enjoyed it, and I know both Mark and myself, we have also. And yeah, I agree. Please come back. We'll get you scheduled for another one sometime, and have you back on, because I know I've got a few questions that I've thought of as you were talking, and I know both Mark and myself we're a little bit older. And, we're wiped out by after this 2-hour time.
I totally understand. I do. Sometimes I do more of these in a row, and then when I get to the 4-hour mark, I'm like, okay, I'm really tired.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you're obviously younger. Now, you mentioned Jena earlier. I always thought she was maybe your sister, just a friend, huh?
She's my best friend, and she's my soul sister. And
I thought so. Okay.
So when I'll let me explain that to you really quickly. So I started seeing souls in 2007. And so my understanding of the soul is the same as Edgar Casey's. Like, the soul is a very large thing, and it is a powerful, wise being that wants to become more than it already is. So it has to split itself up into little tiny pieces to become less than it is, so that it can have the experiences that would require to have become more compassionate, more loving, and more wise in the ways of being human. So the soul itself is very large, powerful, and wise. It splits itself into little pieces, which is sent into different bodies at different times, all at the same time. To the soul, there is no such thing as time. So there are some in the past, there's some in the right now, and there's some in the future. And it's all happening at the same time. And so what you might call a soul mate is actually another piece of the same soul that you come from. Okay.
Okay.
It's literally you in another body. It's just a part of you that you've forgotten about. And so we have so many of them on the planet all at the same time. And when I started to see souls, I literally see they look like the same person. And so when people get to know Jena and I, even like her mom, I spent a day with her mom without Jena there. And her mom was getting really freaked out because the more time she spent with me, the more she saw Jena and not me.
Oh.
And it was scaring her a little bit. She's like, you look just like her. You sound just like her. You do. And it was kind of scaring her. And I was just like, it's okay. I know that Jena and I are the same soul. I know that. And when people see that similarity between us, that's what they're seeing.
Okay.
And when we surround ourselves with pieces of our same soul in other bodies, we are stronger. We know more. We are a larger piece of the soul working together. And it is just a beautiful thing. When you can recognize yourself in another, it is the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I always say we're learning to love ourselves from the outside in.
If I saw myself and somebody else, it might be scary.
It's fun. I see souls all the time. And so when somebody is involved with somebody, they're like, can you look at this person? Is this person good for me? I'm like, show me their picture. Show me. And where I can see their eyes, show me, and I'll tell you all about them. So, yeah. Somebody had asked if I do readings. I do soul readings. Yes, I do. All kinds of different things.
And how do they contact you for that?
JenCruse.16 on Facebook. You can find me, send me a message. Yeah, send me a message there. Follow me on Facebook, send me a message there. Yeah. So
okay. Well, you're welcome to stick with me. I'm gonna real quick tell who we've got coming up in the next few weeks. If you want to stick with you, I know you're gonna know some of these names. So let me get back to my calendar here. So next week is Maxim Furyk again. We've had him on before.
Yeah.
So people are familiar with that. The week after that, on the 29th, is Greg Ogles, 29th of July. And then, oops, let me get this to work for me here. Well, how do I get to go to, there we go, August.
August 5th is Murray Dumont.
Right. She's out of the Florida Bigfoot group. And then I have Carter Bouchard. Oh, he had to change dates. And what did we change him to? We changed him into September sometime.
Yes, sometime in September. I can't remember.
I'll have to look. Natalie Smearman. Do you know Natalie, Jen?
I don't know. I'm not sure on that one.
Okay. She's on the 19th of August. And then let's see, what do we got? Adam Davies on the 26th of August.
Oh, okay. And then August 7th on Friday, we have D.A. Roberts.
I missed that one. Thank you. D.A. Roberts on the 7th on a Friday. So that's a special edition. Join us for special edition. Okay. And then we got our own Gary Spikes on September 2nd.
Yep.
And let's see.
September 9 is Stan Gordon.
Okay. And let's see. What have I got here? September 9th. Yeah. September 16th. I've got Mike Lu. I never know if it's Lucci or I think it's pronounced Lucci. He's a Bigfoot investigator out of New York State. A very interesting guy. Had his own podcast for a long time. And then I think we moved Carter Bouchard to the 23rd of September.
Must have been, yeah.
And then on the 30th, I have Christopher Noel, which probably a lot of people know that name. Is he in New York or Canada, Mary? Do you know?
I honestly don't know.
Oh, he's up north. And then let's see, the last one I have on my thing is Cindy Bueno Good Break on the 7th of August or 7th of October.
Yes.
Yeah, October.
Yeah, I'm excited
anyway,
to have her on also. She's a wonderful lady. Love her.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, so anyway, that's what I've got for now, and we'll get more added to that list, and we'll look forward to having Jen back with us at some time, not too far away.
We'll get you scheduled.
Perfect. Thank you for having me on. Hello, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Listening.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yes, we really do. Thank you so much. And everyone, please come back next week, same time, same channel, and we'll have a great time. And my short-term memory, I can't remember who we're having. Oh, wait, no, it's
Max Furyk.
Maxim Furyk. That's right. And he was on before with a fascinating conversation. So we'll just continue that one. So everyone stay cool, stay out of the heat. It's horrible out there, and those in the southern Texas area, watch out for the floods. I know that the weather's pretty nasty down there. But thank you again, and just remember, everyone who sent me a message for a prayer request, I've got my notebook right here, and I've written it down. So, you'll remain in our prayers. I'll share that with Mark, and then our other prayer warriors here on the stream. But again, thank you so much. And God bless. And Monkey Wench podcast out.
Bye.